Order, I have 7 o'clock officially on my clock. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the agenda, I would like to add something before we approve it. I'm going to call it 4.5. It's going to be updates. I usually have Jordan Potter update on the Board of Adjustments. You, Marcia, as a commissioner, and we have a new planning director. So I'd like at that time you to introduce yourself. So with that added, is there any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
Motion to approve with the additions.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Hearing no one, it's all in favor. Approval of the minutes of March 20th, 2025. We haven't met for a couple months. So
Motion to approve.
do I have a second to approve the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, all in favor. Then we'll move to the updates that I was talking about. And Jordan, could you give us any updates on the Board of Adjustments?
Yeah, we had a meeting today. We granted a variance for Chris and Elsa Roth. They had a CUP and a variance from 5 years ago to build a house to live in while they constructed a home, and they needed a variance from the feedlot setback to construct their home now, so we granted that.
Marcia?
Yes, well, we do have a bona fide placement for planning director. Ross Dunsmore is our new planning director. Ross has worked for the county in a number of capacities, very knowledgeable. And he was interviewed and selected to be he had been wearing the interim hat, and now he gets to wear the full title of planning director. So Ross, if you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been with the county for, on Monday, 37 years. So I'm starting year 38. So I started with the county health department and community health services as a sanitarian. I still perform a lot of that work for the county. And then kind of transitioned into some of the solid waste, where solid waste and environmental health combined. So I've been working most of my career in the environmental services end of the department. So last couple of years, with all the vacancies, I've helped handle the administrative roles during the multiple vacancies. So
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So if you got any questions, now you can call Ross and he'll get you the answer.
Anything else from the county commissioners?
Yes, we did approve a comprehensive plan steering committee, and I'm very pleased with the number of people that applied. From this group, we have on there John Nicholson, Jordan Potter, Michael Miller, and Jean Hansen. Other than that, we have Amy Van Gilder, Bethany Winchester, Dan Wilson, Darren Engler, Dwayne Wirt, Dwayne Vagley, Everett Rolfing, Glenn Groth, Jennifer Beardman, Kelsey Fitzgerald, Larry Graydon, Mark Clark, Rita Young, Rob Miller, and Thomas Lindsay, and then myself. And so it's a good, broad, good, strong rural representation, a little mix of some other people. Our first meeting is coming up now, June 23rd at 5 o'clock.
Could I ask the staff at future meetings of the planning commission? We don't need all the gory details, just kind of a brief update of how it's going. I think that'd be appropriate on our agenda.
On the comp plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
we're the zoning plan and
Yeah.
you're on it, but some of us are not.
Right.
And we can ask questions, but it'd be nice to be briefed.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
We can put that on the agenda.
I'm going to move right into the petitions. First one is docket number PC 06-18-25-01. It's to consider a petition from the Society of St. Pius and Mathewitz Construction, who is seeking conditional interim use permit regarding the following: to allow land disturbance activity in excess of 1,000 cubic yards for the purpose of placing fill in conjunction with the MnDOT Highway 14 project. Request is in pursuant to the Winona County zoning ordinance 10.4.6.22 and 9.10. And Eric, you have this, right?
Yep. Good evening, Planning Commission. The first docket item is, as it's mentioned, it's a necessary project to be done with the State Highway 14 that is currently now started kind of over the Stockton Hill area. So that road is closed. I think it's open for existing residents in between the work area. As the petition reads, they are asking for this interim use permit, and I'll say that again, an interim use permit because staff feels that this is clearly an identifiable time where the project will stop, and we'll get a little bit into that. This section of the ordinance, 10.4622, is for any time you put placements of fill or alter earthen materials in excess of 1,000 cubic yards. In this case, I believe the engineer and the consultant is asking up to about 30,000 cubic yards with the project.
Need a new battery or?
I don't know. It's giving me some pushback here. Well, maybe try that. Okay. Okay. This project is located in Hillsdale Township, Section 36. The address 21258 is a single-family residential dwelling, which is referenced. The property owner involved is the Society of St. Pius 10th and Mathewitz Construction, which is the contractor of record. You can see the project area on that parcel 1470. It's approximately 89 acres. Just wanted to point out a couple things with this. You can see Highway 14 in the red, which borders that mainly on the eastern side, and you have a couple of township roads that it's flanked on the western side. It's Quarry Hill Road, which is a local or township road coming off of 14. And then as you look to the left, as you're going up Quarry Hill Road, the main seminary properties are located on the left. I mean, if anyone's familiar with that area, some grand structures that they have there in that location. So you're going to the north, then you intersect Seminary Drive, which is another Hillsdale Township road. And that area is indicating where they've selected to put 30,000 cubic yards of material. This is a staff generated. I just looked at LiDAR. Roughly, they indicated about 2.7 acres. They would remove the topsoil and stockpile that for reclamation purposes or to replace when they're all done placing the fill material. The yellow lines are representing 10 feet change in elevation, and the brownish red lines are indicating 2-foot changes in elevation. Now I'll get into some of the site plans that the developer and the contractor submitted. They refer to it as a waste site. You know, I guess I have to say that's somewhat new terminology. We've always referred to some of these sites as beneficial use sites when they're done, you know, as far as multi-purposes. But it kind of just shows an overlay of the area, mainly showing the Highway 14 project in blue, which they plan on, my understanding of the MnDOT proposal is that they're regrading the shoulders, and they're going to be reshaping some of the vulnerable slopes that have kind of blown out and eroding. And then it would also be replacement of guardrails and some other new culverts and some other parts of that project. Petitioner submitted their LiDAR and elevations that kind of show. Again, there's two houses, but there's one house on this property, which the address was referred to. But I should note that there is another neighboring dwelling located somewhat to the north and to the west. On this parcel, they have three larger accessory structures, and I got some photos that will kind of show that location better too. They've submitted their erosion control, silt fences, where they plan on putting the topsoil berm and basically the anticipated project boundaries of the fill location. Some of these slides are showing the notes that were on the plan set that they submitted. Again, 2.7 acres is the borough area. Existing pervious 2.7, and they plan to restore it to its existing function, which is 2.7 acres of permeable surface. Basically, it's farmland again. Some notes on the upper right. And then again, their plan is to restore it to grassland with a minimum of a 6-inch topsoil cover. Just kind of sorting through the materials. These are the statements that were part of the application, everything that they plan on doing in conjunction with this. They are subject to MPCA, NPDS stormwater pollution prevention plans, which they indicated they will acquire and abide by the requirements of holding that permit. They plan on a designated silt fence on the downstream of the edge. And as we get into the soil and water report, they looked at the plans too. And probably that's the most critical point is the downside slope where there's an existing stormwater retention pond and that's what would probably be the point of least resistance should something erode or be subject to damage during heavy rains. Again, we'll bring material that's excavated from the roadway portions of the Highway 14 project. They want to respread the salvage topsoil and return the property back to farm field. And they will be using a water truck to control dust in the work area at all times. And their hours of operation that they've indicated would be 7 to 7, Monday through Friday, Saturdays and needed, and if on Saturdays from 7 to 3. That's what they've indicated. Yep.
Is this salvage, that the material that is being excavated, is that all clay or is there rock in there?
I'm sure they'll have to be cognizant of which part of that Highway 14 right of way that they're working, because there is shale and there's sandstone and there's clays and then there's black soil from ravines. So it's going to be a real mix of things. You know, that might be a good question for the contractor too, to see how they sort that material out.
Well, yeah.
Because you can't put a field of rock in there.
Do a good job.
Right. Okay. Property zoned agricultural resource conservation. It's part of the MnDOT State Highway 14 project. There is some steep slopes when you look at different ranges and different profiles. And again, there's an existing grade stabilization or pond feature. That's probably the most critical to keep an eye on as they're going about their business. They plan on reusing it to usable field, establish seeding, and get ground cover. Again, just citing what the section of the ordinance. It's over 1,000 cubic yards. They propose 30,000 cubic yards. It's roughly 2.7 acres in size. I conducted a visit on May 27th, soil and water. Visited the site and generated a report on June 3rd, which should be in your packets. Included the potential erosion sediment issues that they identify, and they mainly point out that pinch point that's on the lower side of the proposed fill site. Again, staff recommends this as an interim use permit. because it's anticipated, my understanding, to be completed in November this year. Couple pictures. We're looking at northwest across the fill site. Looking back to the south, containing the existing outbuildings that they have on that parcel. Looking east over the project deposit site on the property. You can see it does drop down and as you kind of go to the east and kind of back to the north, that's where that pond structure is. That's probably a better view. Kind of shows the utility pole there. And kind of that's probably the area of least resistance when things run downhill. Looking back at the west at the existing dwelling. They did submit a Hillsdale Township acknowledgement, and in that form, and on May 12th of this year, they indicated support. Additional commentary was received. Says the Stockton Hill Highway 14 project will improve a major arterial used by citizens and township residents. The local site will allow material transfer with minimal damage to roads. The project will support growth and future sustainability for the township.
Gotta shake it, I guess. Swear at it too.
Open it up and roll the batteries, maybe they'll.
Okay, well, I guess we're on the next one here. Again, the planning commission should consider all the materials in your packet. The findings of fact may vary from the findings that were in your staff report. Steve has taken a very thorough deep dive on that and submitted the information. Might want to look at the conditions. They may vary slightly. So I guess our recommendation would be to make sure that the findings of fact document that has been supplied by legal is the one that you would base any decision or recommendations on. Steve, I believe, is online tonight too, in case there's any questions on that front. And as of that staff report, we had recommended 5 conditions for the planning commission's consideration.
Eric, the one that's in our book is the most updated and current.
That's the staff report that I generated, but the findings of fact document that was prepared, that's a couple more pages. Yeah, you'll see right there, or that's,
It is. Okay.
well, if you don't have any basic questions, I'll turn it over to the consultant there if they'd like to
Yeah, I'd
add
like
anything.
to open it up to the petitioner,
Okay.
who will speak on behalf of this project. So, Adam, state your name and address, so our recording can pick up where you're from.
Greetings, I'm Adam Kimball, project manager for Mathwoods Construction. My current address is actually in the Crescent, but Mathwoods Construction is 30656 County Road 24 in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. And you guys kind of touched on everything I would typically say. Project is basically just for this Highway 14 project with MnDOT. We have already started the project. Conditions has stated we'll be stripping the topsoil off, installing silt fence, probably some rock checks in the low gradient areas to minimize erosion. During the project, when we place the fill, we'll be compacting that, working in small areas at a time to minimize a lot of that erosion control, like issues and potential runoff. Once the site is done, if we need to provide any contours of any sort or any other drainage to kind of minimize any more future erosion as things grow, we can also install that as we'll be monitoring the site along with our MPDS permit as required by the MPCA. With your question regarding the material placement, so materials out there vary greatly. We've hit rock, concrete, blacktop. A lot of that stuff we try to reutilize. We either take it to the quarry and reuse it. If we do end up with any on this site, that material will get buried below probably the upper 4 feet of material placement. We'll only be using select material on the top to make sure we get good plant growth. We don't want that on the top either. definitely don't want anybody farming over and stuff like that. So that's one big thing that we'll be watching out for. With the topsoil placement, typical a 6 inch is kind of a standard across the industry. If there is more out there, when we begin to strip stuff off, we will strip more off and put more back on. Basically whatever topsoil's there, whether it's 6 inches, a foot, all of it'll get stripped off. We'll put all of it back on. So just to clarify that part of it for you. Again, site will be closed up at the end of this year. Hopefully the project goes well and stops raining, but right now our planned anticipation completion date is November 25th. The site should be wrapped up before that, and hopefully be able to stabilize it before late fall, so we get some good growth here this season yet. And then, like I said, next year, if we gotta touch up anything or reseed anything like that, we'll definitely do that. So.
Any questions? I know Eugene, I don't know if you got it answered or not.
No, this is kind of along the same line, but what are you gonna do with the soil, the fill that you take out of to make the hole below the topsoil? Because obviously you're gonna put this stuff from Highway 14 in there, and so if you put what's below the topsoil back in there, then you'll have a mound instead of just the same.
Yeah, so this area will get filled up. You can see on the contours there. So we're raising up. In some areas we're up like 8 to 10 feet. So the area right now has got a down gradient of like 13.5%. We'll continue the same contour line, but it's just going to be raised up and taper off a little bit steeper once we kind of get towards the north edge of the project.
Okay.
So the whole area will get raised up in there. Yep.
Okay.
There's that old quarry sitting in there. Couldn't you park some of that old concrete in there to work to sort it out there and then?
Yeah, the concrete and stuff, we sort that out on site. So that doesn't even, there won't be any concrete or asphalt in this location. You might get some bigger size 1 to 2 foot rocks in there, just like limestone rock, but concrete and asphalt are a hard no on dumping in a site like this, basically because of MPCA and MnDOT. So
I just thought you had that quarry up there. That would be
Yeah.
a short term.
they use that quite a bit yet, I think, for brush and storage. So that we did look at that, but this site worked out a little bit better. So.
I have another question. Now, you say you're going to go down about approximately 4 feet. Are you gonna hit bedrock if you go down that far?
No.
Okay,
It won't be that deep.
well, that's better soil than I got on my farm.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
I would
there's,
like 6 inches in
Yeah.
spots. So no bearing of any asphalt or concrete or anything?
No.
It's just gonna be soils
Yep.
that come out there, okay.
there might be a little bit of gravel or something like that off the road bed, but nothing like of larger portions or anything like that. I mean,
And is that, it looked like a beautiful field. It's not in any CRP program or anything? It's just,
I believe so. You guys still farm that, I believe, for hay ground pasture? Hay ground.
playground. Okay, all right. And so if we, depending on weather, as you indicated, November 25th, that might be a little iffy
So
to get a
that's,
established crop.
that's the project completion. We always run the permit to the end of the project just to make sure we're covered. We have, before the road gets back open on that date, we have paving, guardrail, striping that has to be done ahead of time. Last of the material will probably go in here in hopefully late September. Then we'll be restoring it. And as we get areas done, we'll seed those as we go. So it won't be waiting till the very end to seed the entire thing. We'll seed it as we progress. So
Does it have to be a certain type of seed mix or is that?
we'll probably look at like a similar material, what they're using right now to put it back to the hayfield. So, yeah.
Any other questions? I have a question. The locals on the road, I know you had dust control in here. Specifically, I'll talk about the township road. Will that just be watered or will that be chloride or what type of material you put on?
We'll probably just water it. We
Okay.
have a water truck on site and it's typically better. If If it gets to the point where that can't keep up, then we'll look at chloride.
I got another question. I just saw it.
Eugene.
How are you gonna enter this parcel?
We'll come off the township road, so the side we're on now, we're on the Stockton side, we'll come up and enter on Quarry Road, and then once we get to the other side, we'll come up Seminary Road.
Okay.
Both roads are listed on our designated haul roads as part of the contract with the project with the state.
Okay.
So they've been videotaped and stuff like that. So if there are issues, we can work with the township on that to
Okay.
make sure it gets
Are you
maintained.
compensating the township?
We would be restoring if we damage a road, it would be us restoring it. So
Is that in a contract?
that's in our MinDOT contract, yeah, as part of the,
Because when
All
they,
road
when they
restoration.
reroute traffic using county roads, we sometimes get.
yeah, that contract's a
compensation.
little bit different than ours works. Yep.
Mike, you gotta get compensation for your township.
Well, that sounds nice and dandy, but we filmed it, you filmed it.
Yep.
Until we know there's damage, it's hard to say, you know.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
not
we
in a
just
position
don't
to
even
do a
have to
toll
prove-
booth yet.
We don't even have to prove damage. I mean, the county gets because of the added traffic.
Well,
I mean,
maybe we'll call you up, but currently though, we're only concerned with damage.
damage, sure.
And
Put
we
a
want to
couple
get the
of those.
project done. So time is kind of important here.
Sure.
Because it is kind of inconvenient to everybody that lives up there. And I think if somebody lives up there.
Yeah, it would be. I,
And we like the circular route because we think it's safer.
sure.
Coming in, making a circle and come back out.
Yeah.
And you've had at least 2 public meetings and I've seen most of my neighbors there.
They're okay with
And
it.
again, we want to maintain a road, but we're, number one is safety. We don't want to have an incident. So everybody's on high alert when this happens. And we'll go from there, right? Get the
Yeah.
project done. Any other questions?
Well, I'm sorry, you say safety. So this isn't, how are they they're rerouting traffic off of 14 onto some of the county roads. So they're not using those routes are just for the truck.
This is just for the construction.
Yep.
people.
Yeah.
So
you
these
understand?
routes
Elevated
are
traffic.
dead end routes. So like all the 14 traffic is getting routed on, I think 23.
Yeah.
In Stockton. So
Sure, okay.
the road is 14 right now through the project is open to local traffic only, basically residents within Stockton to the church at the bottom of St. Mary's Hill there, that corridor.
I guess when and not only the residents, but for the construction people to meet dump trucks straight on a township road.
That's.
The goal here is to reroute them and make a circle.
Mhm.
And yeah, it eliminates them meeting each other and stuff. And possibly, we obviously had one tip over a week ago, unfortunately, but
Yeah, that's where you get damage to your road too, is when they're
Yep.
meeting and
Meeting,
you're
and
pushing
they're
it out.
pushing everything out, correct?
Because one would be empty, one would be loaded.
We'll have a grader on stack. which
We'll have a grader there, yep.
Yep.
You ain't too far if you get some more crushed rock on the road. If you
Yep, we
can.
can get more crushed rock, so.
Help the township.
And signs saying trucks hauling,
Uh,
will there be any need for that?
we can put them out there typically because the township road's a low volume road. We don't really run them, and because 14 is closed.
Yeah.
We don't really have them out there, but if the township wants that, we can definitely do it.
You get unseen somebody out there that doesn't know what's going on and,
Mhm.
yeah, again, you talked about safety.
Well, we've done what we can to inform everybody up there. And if somebody doesn't know what's going on, I don't know if they live up there.
Well, they probably don't live up there, but you know how some people go sightseeing.
They go
and say,
past that.
Yeah,
Close sign
yeah,
that's on
let's see
them.
how far I can get.
Well,
Yeah,
I
we've
saw the
had-
deputy
we've had a few of
sheriff
those
getting up
already.
in the turnoff last night.
Yeah,
So we're kind of closely monitoring people that don't belong there.
Yep. But
And we
yeah,
have
not
something
everybody
on our
believes the
mirror that
signs.
indicates we're residents.
oh, okay.
And what, 2 weeks though, you had a gatekeeper.
Okay.
I think it's
I
going
will
pretty
avoid
good.
the area, Mike.
I really do.
Yeah.
Problem.
Still getting, like I said, some non-local traffic daily. Today, for some reason, was quite a bit more
Me too.
substantial than the last few days,
Really?
but so I'll probably sit out there tomorrow and keep a little closer eye on things.
And there is, on Stockton side is a stop lane. There's only one lane. So you got your time to get up the hill and get off, and then the light changes there to let the next road traffic out. So it's one lane on the Stockton side. And as you progress, it'll continue that way, I'm sure.
Yep, that'll continue on. So right now, changed a little bit from when we started just because of traffic. Was kind of acting a little bit differently than we originally thought when we planned it. So we ran the stoplight. Originally, we were gonna have two-way traffic out there all the time. With work areas being so close to the center line of the road, we restricted it to one lane just because if you drove down the Stockton side, you can see the drop off there. Talked to the state, got that changed. So now we're just leaving the stoplight up and keeping it single lane. Originally, we were gonna come from the Stockton side, go up over the top of the hill and down to Winona on the downhill side, and then turn around and go back up and over on the uphill side. We're actually gonna switch that now. We're gonna get to the top of the hill where we're at, where the stoplight is, turn around, go right back down so that everything on the Stockton side will be done by the
Okay.
time we move to the Winona side. Just eliminates some downtime, moving the lights and waiting for traffic switches.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? You don't, you're here to support the project, I assume, brother. Let's move on to our public meeting.
Motion to open the public meeting.
Is there a second to open the
I'll
public
second.
meeting? All in favor of opening a public meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, we're all in favor of opening a public meeting. Public meeting is now open. If you're for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and state your position. Seeing no one, again, anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your name and address and your position. And for the third time, anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the podium, state your name and address and your position. Hearing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Hearing none, all in favor. Okay, commissioners. What do you want to do? Do you have enough information?
Yeah, I'm happy with all the conditions that are here and the state is overseeing everything, so I think it's probably more thorough than most of the CUPs we have for this type of thing. I would move to approve it with the conditions as it's written in our packet.
And the findings of fact?
Correct.
Okay, Eugene seconds that. Any other discussion before we vote? If not, all in favor, say aye of recommending this. Aye, opposed, nay. Hearing none, it's all in favor. Now, your next hearing will be July 8th at 9 o'clock in the same room here, right? Commissioner's room.
Yes.
And we'll get that petition ready for you.
Pretty good luck. Good luck.
You guys are bored this summer, don't know. Gonna say it's kind of, need to get it passed and done so you can get the job
To
done,
get
get the
going.
road open.
Yeah, there's no real convenient alternative routes.
So, get her done and get it a
Okay.
long term, hopefully.
Moving on to the next petition, it's PCO 6-18-2502. And it's Thomas and Linda Christopherson. Let me read the petition. I just got to get to my notes on it, okay? Okay, petitioners are requesting a conditional use permit to allow a cannabis cultivation operation on the A/RC Agriculture Resource Conservation Zoning District pursuant of County Zoning Ordinance Chapters 10.4.6 and 17.2.2. And looks like Eric's got this one too.
Yep, but as your chair pointed out, referencing 10.46 and 17.22. I guess this is the first time that this new chapter 17 has been referenced in any of our reports. As you recall, chapter 17 is the new cannabis ordinance that we just approved in January of this year. And as you recall, to do cultivation in the ag district, that would be allowed as a conditional or interim use permit. So that's the new section that's been applied in this petition. In this case, staff has recommended as a conditional use permit for the petitions. This one is located in Whitewater Township, section 31, 10241 County Road 26 with a Plainview, Minnesota address. Parcel number 17002843. And to the right of that is a GIS image that shows that 37.18 acre parcel. I guess this gives a good layout of the type of land. It shows that there's a lot of, I don't know if it's a conservation reserve program, but it shows that there's been a lot of tree plantings, a lot of CRP maybe, and various garden areas confined to the dwelling site. As indicated in this application, the petitioners at this time wish to cultivate a 0.25 or quarter acre cultivation site. There is also a 56 by 45 pole building that is located right to the west of the cultivation site. I do have some photos of the site to give kind of a good orientation of their property. And this activity is proposed to be an outside grow cultivation area. You do see a greenhouse, but I believe that's for their vegetables and some of the other crops that they're growing with the greenhouse. I believe it's my understanding that the quarter acre would yet be to the left of the greenhouse indicated in this photo. Again, that's the picture of the pole building that they have. The applicants have indicated that they've been a several year license holder of growing hemp. They do, I believe, have that in their materials that they submitted. Getting into some slide shots. This is roughly where the home is immediately right off of this driveway. It's a dead end drive that comes off of County Road 26. And this is the view looking north along their private drive back to County Road 26. Based on elevation and the level of mature tree growth, it's barely seen from the county road at this point. The petitioners did meet with Whitewater Township on May 27th, and they had received and indicated that they had no comments in regards to the request at this time. As always, the Planning Commission has recommended to consider all the testimony, all the materials in the application, the staff report, the findings of fact, the proposed conditions. They have been presented in a manner that would indicate support for the request as petitioned. Staff has also recommended 5 conditions, and I guess before I say that, we should double check, I guess, the legal findings of fact. I think there may have been a 6th condition added in
No,
this case.
There's 4 in the draft, and
Okay.
then there's 5 later.
5 and 5. They might have been reworded is probably the case then. So in this case, I do know they differ from the original staff report that was dated in early June. The findings of fact that Steve has, they have been reworded based on his study of the new state statutes that govern cannabis. I think I'd have to look at what chapter citation that is, but I know he did have a few comments that wanted to, 342 is the cannabis statutes. So I guess I would depend more heavily on the legal document that's in your packet. Again, they've been revised from the June 4th, 2025 staff report.
I think that was on page 55, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
58 is.
58,
like
is that the-
5 conditions.
Yeah, is that
All right.
58? Is that the ones we're working off
That's
now?
what I believe.
No, I didn't see any others here unless there's something in here.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Can, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can we get County Attorney Steve to come online and address this at some point?
Well, we can, is it a legal question you're thinking?
Well, I'm just trying to
Because
get my,
he has reviewed this and this.
yeah, I
this is
understand,
what
but he could
changed.
much easier,
Oh, there he is.
okay. You would, it's the differences. That's my
Yeah, what did it,
opinion.
what got changed? Is anything changed?
Yeah, so the changes I made basically were to clarify both for purposes of our ordinance and the statute, and just so the public knows the restrictions, what rules apply to this. So we've added some language about strictly limiting it to our definition of cultivation that's in our ordinance, and that's the only type of cannabis activity that will happen there. And in the findings, added a finding that it's within the buffer limits for the schools and the other limits that are in the ordinance. And the reason I included that, I thought that should be included here, is because it's really, since the cannabis cultivation business doesn't need to get a license from us or a registration, this is really the only time that will get looked at and documented, as far as I understand the process. So I thought it was a good idea for staff to address that issue in their report. Also wanted to just make clear that if the county at any time in its sole judgment thinks it's necessary to inspect for compliance, that they're consenting to that. And that they will stay on top of changes to all the applicable statutes, regulations, laws that are going to probably be changing for the next few years as this plays out, and will stay adhered to all those rules as they change. Other than that, it's pretty similar to the information we normally have and conditions that we normally have. I am also making a general effort, though, to look at the conditions language of the conditions we've been using, and to sort of tighten them up and make them a little more clear as to what the expectations are. So you might see some of that in the conditions that are coming forward in the future.
Well, we got you on, Steve. Is there any reason to address, say they start growing and for some reason or other, they stop their operation for like just randomly a 2-year period, and then they want to start again? But if we give a conditional use permit, it just can, it can be forever. So is there any reason to address a time factor of growing? I don't just
yeah.
think out loud.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was consideration as to whether it should be an interim use permit or a conditional use permit. And, I would, I suppose, be possible to make it an interim use permit that ends if they stop growing cultivating for a particular amount of time or something like that. Or you could just add a condition that says, that if they stop cultivation, they notify the county, or the county be kept apprised of when cultivation is occurring and when it's not occurring. A lot of that, though, is stuff the state will be monitoring. So a lot of requirements associated with cultivation in terms of security and things like that, that the state is responsible for enforcing.
I have quite skepticism of the state's ability to monitor this industry with the lack of clarity that they put it on the table to start with.
Yeah.
I'm not confident. Not of
Yeah,
not of the local people, but of the state of Minnesota people.
yeah, no, hasn't been the smoothest launch in the world in terms of having the information we needed to prepare for it. But I think we're in good shape now in terms of this application. I thought it's beneficial that they're already certified to grow hemp, which means they're already sort of used to working in this, restricted environment, which makes it easier for the county to, to work with them and monitor and things like that. So I think it's actually a very good candidate for, our first approval of a cultivator.
If they would want to increase, because it all states here that it's just a, 0.25 acres, quarter acre. So if they want to go up to a half an acre, would they have to come back and get a review of the conditional use permit? How would that be handled?
No, our conditional use permit or our zoning ordinance doesn't specify the amount of cultivation, just that there is cultivation. I'm not sure. I don't think there's anything in the state statute regarding that, but I don't know that off the top of my head.
All right.
Steve, just another question, is it tied strictly to them doing it? They can't sell the property or the business to somebody else, or?
Well, if the conditional use permit runs with the land, so if they sell the land, that stays, but in order to cultivate, they need to be approved by the state. So if somebody else bought the property, they would have to go through the process of being approved to be a cultivator.
Okay.
Any other questions of staff? Seeing none, could the petitioners come up? State your name and address. And tell us about your conditional use application.
Okay, my name's Thomas Christopherson and my wife Linda.
Linda Christopherson.
Yep. 10241 County Road 26, Plainview, Minnesota. Where to start? We're applying for a micro business cultivation endorsement, so it is just cultivation. As your definition, I think was very good in the thing of what that covers, because that's basically what we want to do. We are going to pursue a retail endorsement, but that will be in the city of St. Charles. We won't do any retail, no public at the farm site. With a micro business, you can do up to a half acre cultivation. We have flowering cannabis, yeah. And right now we are at less than a quarter acre, and we actually don't have much room to expand at this point. So our intention for at least this year, going into next year, is not to do any major expansions or anything at the current property that we're at. And we are limited to one cultivation site with our license. So it's not like we're going to be trying to get big. Our style is to do more of a craft, high quality, serve the local market, basically. We got some retail outlets that are interested in buying from us, and we're hoping that we can just turn around and sell it that way and make some money on our little farm. So we have basically the way we farm, we have like it was stated, we have 2 years of experience growing hemp for CBD. Last year with the law changes and stuff, we grew a crop and couldn't sell it, because you basically you couldn't sell the flower. There's no market for it.
They started treating all flour the same.
Yeah, and so that we
So
kind of got
it's all
pushed
under
into
OCM.
yeah. So we kind of got pushed into going into the cannabis route in order to grow the CBD flower. And once you make that transition, you might as well be growing the cannabis, because it's like a 50-to-1 profit difference on it. So, and there's a lot more expenses. We have an existing field. We're using the same field. Only changes in the pole barn we use for doing some of the drying and the curing. Only changes we're making are to gain compliance with OCM and following their rules for security, safety, sanitary.
Alarm system,
Yeah.
cameras.
Yeah. We
but
got,
commercial fencing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty regulated to
Yeah.
the maximum.
And it's in general, I think, OCM has been doing a pretty good job. I mean, we don't get the information on status that we would like, but if you follow the laws and stuff, it's pretty well laid out what's needed. It's very well regulated through the metric system.
Seed to sale
Yeah,
is all.
tracking.
documented.
And so every activity that we do has to go into a established industry specified tracking system. It's when we plant our seeds, when you, and what pesticides or what controls, and we don't use pesticides. It's all natural grown, biological. So yeah, we're kind of more into the, not doing
Living soil.
living soil type stuff. We grow in containers, 30-gallon containers, all prepared soil. And so, so
Well,
the,
is it in a green, it's showed, is it in a
No.
green?
No, that-
It's just open field?
it's just open field,
Okay.
yep, and it has landscape fabric down, so we don't get weeds. You got 30-gallon pots that are 22 by 12 inches tall, or filled up with, soil. 2 marigolds in every pot and 1 plant.
For natural
Yeah,
pest
yeah.
control.
And, yeah, that's basically how it's laid out. We got 480 containers.
So
Oh.
how much, when you get into the bigger, they're concerned of, water consumption, so.
Yeah, we got a irrigation system. Basically a strip irrigation is very directed right to the containers. There's very little to no runoff unless you got a leak or something.
Sure. Well, with just a 1/4 acre, but I'm talking when they want to grow very large.
Oh, big ones? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you can
that-
go,
Then they're concerned with the, water consumption.
yeah, yeah.
rates.
Yeah.
Yeah, our water consumption is less.
We
than-
did get our water tested and it came out like really perfect.
Yeah, that's good
So
for.
that
yeah.
was great. We
Uh,
tested it for everything, just,
So, yeah, I think our water consumption estimate is less than 10,000 gallons for the whole cultivation.
season one.
Yeah.
And you're on a private well.
Private well, yeah. It's mostly, since it's outdoor grown, it's the most sustainable way of growing cannabis because we don't have the electricity from the lights, which is a huge expense. You don't have the indoor heat and space. You got the, the
You don't have
sun
all the chemicals.
and you got rain, and so, I mean, it's very most efficient way to grow it. But you're running against pests and you're running against, frost, basically. Right now, to get a crop in the ground, it's kind of time sensitive. We probably got
We're
to.
cutting it close.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, I think we got up to end of July where we could maybe still get something in the ground and have a small crop this year.
So seed, you plant seeds, not,
Yeah, we have
not
to pl-
plants.
Yeah,
seed.
no, you have to plant from seed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but they got autoflower varieties that are mature in 60 to 70 days. And so, they're pushing the frost deadline there, but I think we could still get one in if everything goes forward correctly. We
did-
are-
We
on.
did, since we filed this, we got all of our plans and everything got approved by the state.
Yeah, so
So
we're
we actually
conditional.
have a license conditional on our
Yeah,
CEU.
yeah, we've been issued a license, but it's conditional on, of course, this
The
approval
condition.
and us passing their inspection that they come out and do. And going from there.
Anybody have any questions?
I don't. Anybody else have questions? Thank you.
It's an interesting industry.
Steve's got one.
Oh,
Okay.
Steve's got one.
Yeah, not necessarily a question, but one thing I wanted to make everyone aware of is there is sort of a bureaucratic issue with the timing of the approval in terms of county is required to respond to the request within 30 days. But it is not possible with the notice requirements and the meeting schedules to have the planning commission make its recommendation and then have the county board approve, make the final approval. And the issue that creates is that if it's not approved, if we don't respond within 30 days, the state could just go ahead and say it's approved. And presumably we would lose the opportunity to have conditions associated with the approval. So it's not quite clear what the best way to deal with that is. The problem is that the state electronic system that we're supposed to use to respond, it only lets you approve or deny. It doesn't let you tell them, hey, we need 2 more weeks. So it's possible that we may have to tell the state that it's not approved just because it's not until the county board approves it, but then go ahead and approve it and move forward. Hopefully there would be no implications, for getting seeds in the ground or anything like that. But it is an issue that's hanging out there, that is just sort of a bureaucratic snafu that we have to go through.
Yeah, I had that same question and I've been trying to ask them the same question on how could you resolve that? And
Mhm.
I never got an answer back on it either, so.
Yeah, yeah.
We never approved the hemp. We didn't have anything to do with the hemp license, did
No.
we? I don't remember.
That's a federal program.
Yeah,
that-
okay.
that state, yeah.
And this is kind of the sister of hemp or brother of hemp, right? I
I
mean,
know.
Yeah, the problem, what I was hoping is that, we did send a letter to the OCM stating that this was the case. It's filed with our application saying that, we did submit this. We weren't aware of the CUIP because that came in is it CI?
CUP.
CUP.
Okay, CUP. Because that kind of came in, we started in August. That came in January. We missed it. It changed because there wasn't no condition for that before, right? And then, so basically when we found out about it, that it was June and we already submitted our application like a day or 2 before we found out about
Okay.
it.
Can I ask a question? So, let's say that the county doesn't respond, okay, and then it just gets approved. We're still required to have a conditional use permit in order to cultivate in Winona. So if you don't respond and then, you know what I mean? We still can't plant seeds or cultivate because the county has to, you know what I mean? We could
Yeah,
have a license from the state and not be able to cultivate until it gets that conditional use permit.
Yeah, it's sort of a case of the county and the state, 2 ships that miss each other in the night, because the purpose of the state having that policy is to not have the county hold it up with not granting a conditional use permit. So the assumption is that the state has the ability to override that and just allow you to do it, which is problematic for the county because it doesn't take into consideration the conditions and needs of the county, and making the public comfortable with the facility and that sort of thing. So I don't know how the state will react, and we haven't gotten an answer as to how the state will react. Our options really are to tell the state that it hasn't been approved, but just go through the rest of the process and have the board approve it, and then approve it if they choose to, and then notify the state that it's been approved at that time, or to just do nothing and see what the state does, and notify them that it's approved at the after the board meeting, assuming they approve it. I guess there might be the option of having a contractual arrangement to agree to the conditions prior to approval of the CUP, or if the state grants approval, agreeing to follow the conditions, something like that. That again would take a little bit of research, but it's something we probably want to sort out before that 30 days is up.
Yeah.
When is the third, I mean, God forbid we have a special meeting just to approve this. I mean, that's doable too. I mean, if that avoids all of this confusion, Steve.
Mhm. I don't have that date in front of me. I forget what day does Eric, do you know what date the state contacted us?
What are we working with?
I want to say it was the first week in June. It was either between the 1st and the 3rd of June is when we received notification from OCM. So it roughly gives us just the first couple days in July.
Oh, so
to
it's
comment.
30 days after we got that from,
Yeah.
okay, so we could possibly, to avoid all. and
Yeah.
Allow them to do their business. I mean,
Yeah, my understanding, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but basically if it does get denied, we do lose our position.
We lose
Uh,
our position for
yeah.
inspections and everything.
Yeah, and so basically.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Now, and we would go
Mhm.
to the back of the list.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
what, yeah, so.
Okay, that's good to know.
Back to us.
So can we get clarity? Well, I guess
You have the power to do an emergency meeting?
we can. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we can. The board, the county board.
It's up to the county.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
Now, what we're dealing here is with 5 days and only to me it would be prudent to build forward. However, it falls tonight and then the county board meeting is currently at the 8th, and if you change that, so be it.
We could, I mean,
But
That's in
until
their
we-
Court, though, yeah.
pardon me?
In new hands.
It'd be in their hands, but commissioners, our job tonight is though to look at the petition in front of you and make a decision. A lot of these hypotheticals down there shouldn't be on your mind.
You could make a recommendation though.
Yeah, that was my question. Could we add to our recommendation? Say we recommend to approve, could we also recommend to hold a special meeting?
You're an advisory group.
We're advisory and I'd leave that up to Steve and the legal people to recommend that. I think we're out of our jurisdiction to do that. I think everybody here, including Eric and the petitioners, understand this timing limbo that we have.
Yeah.
But as chair of the planning commission, I want to get done what we can get done tonight so they can move forward no matter what happens to the variables. Again, you have these license permits and different things pending on a conditional use. And to pull back and say, well, this is all messed up from the very beginning and not make a decision tonight is inappropriate.
I do have a question for Steve. This doesn't count for our 1 per 12,000, because this is a different
No.
type of, that's just the retail operation. Okay.
Right.
Clarity.
Yes, and I would say as far as recommending, regardless of whether you recommend the county board hold a special meeting, you could still, I would recommend you take action on this tonight. The one reason to discuss or consider adding that recommendation, or at least providing information about that in your what you submit to the county board, is that it will create a public record of this issue and the consideration, and that the planning commission recognized this logistical bureaucratic problem, and it wasn't a case of the county board jumping in and doing something out of the ordinary that people may look at incorrectly.
Well, we have documented in our discussion where this is. I don't know if it needs another condition though, or a slight recommendation, because your county commissioners need to deal with your boards. And obviously you're very aware of it, Steve. And I would say it's your position to chase the 5 county commissioners around to do what's right.
Yeah, I have no problem doing that. The issue to me is just the fact that most people will not watch this or get a transcript of this meeting. They will just look at the board packet and see what's in there before the meeting. Perhaps maybe just putting this discussion in your minutes would help, but I think as far as from a legal standpoint, everything, you're 100% right. All this is being said and discussed at the meeting, and that's all that's needed, really. It's just a matter of how you want the public to be able to receive the information and increase the likelihood that they will receive it and understand it. But that's totally your decision.
Findings of fact and our recommendations, and not clutter it with things really beyond our control. I mean, we have discussed it. It is going to be in the minutes. And we do have a nice new planning director. I'm sure he will be right on this, as he always has been for 37 years, right? Any questions of the petitioners, though? I think you've been very thorough. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Open the public meeting.
I moved to open the public hearing. on
Is there a
the
second?
petition.
Second that.
I got Mike Miller seconding it. All in favor of opening public meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay, if opposed, hearing none, all in favor. Our public meeting is now open. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your name and your address and your issue. Again, anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, come to the microphone, state your name and address, and state your position. And for the third time, anyone wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone, state your name and address and your position. Hearing none, that's three.
I move to close the public
Do I have a
hearing.
I'll
second?
second.
Eugene seconds it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Hearing none, our public meeting is now closed. Now it's back to us commissioners. Tell me what you want to do here. I think our findings of fact and our recommendations are page 56 through 58.
I think, in my opinion, I would like to go on record saying I approve of passing the petition. And I think we've discussed everything and it's already in the minutes and everything, so we'll leave it up to the,
Sure. So your motion is to approve the findings of facts
yeah,
and the recommendations
yep. Just let the government bureaucracy,
and to
Go on.
recommend this go to the county commissioners. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a vote. All those in favor of recommending this and sending it to the county board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Louis? Louis abstained. It has passed by majority though. So your next hearing, unless they change it, is July 8th at 9 o'clock. And it'd be in this room, I believe. But keep your contacts open in case you can slide that ahead.
And I guess I would like both Steve and Ross then to work so that we don't move you to the back of the line if we, you know, again, if we need a special meeting or something, or you think that July, what did we say, the 8th? Would suffice if we don't respond and say, well, checks in the mail, you know, type of thing to the state of Minnesota or somehow. But I'd go with your advice, what we need to do there to make this work for them.
Okay.
The county board. can
Because
do it.
currently it's 5 or 6 days beyond that June 2nd or 3rd, whatever that is. But at least the cogs are in the movement, so you can move forward. You got a definite
Holiday
date.
in there too. So maybe do we count holidays when they go? through?
Well, that's not, they don't, when they write the,
I don't,
they don't
think
separate
they
out
do.
holidays.
some places, sometimes they do the days. That's something that, you know, maybe we'll be within that. I don't know.
Actually, this is going to only count.
No, that's state of Minnesota when they count holidays. Like tomorrow's a holiday, so can we count that against their 30 days? I don't know. You know, that might give us an extra day.
We'll leave that up to Steve.
Not illegal.
He's my advisor on that, but it's the county's court now
Yeah.
to do whatever you do.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board or commissioners? Otherwise,
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor, say aye of adjourning. Aye. Anybody opposed to adjourning? Hearing none, all in favor, we are adjourned at about 8:10.
All right.
Yeah.
Be in touch with
Thank you.
staff to see what we come up with. Okay? Sure. Or you have Ross's email?